Seattle Mariners. What do you want to do here? Take a quick break?
All right. Let's go right to it.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
Brought to you by Slapsticks Comedy Club. Open now. We open up this weekend with some great shows. You can get your tickets at slapstickscomedy.com. Always going to have shows. Always going to have a fun time. Lots of great stuff going on at Slapsticks. Top 5 Big 12 storylines going into the year as we're here at Big 12 Media Days week. So all these top 5s will be Big 12 related this week. Number 5, what's going on at Texas Tech? Like, that's what that's the best way I can kind of describe my thoughts on Texas Tech is what's going on. Is Matt Wells going to improve the team? Does the quarterback transfer help? Because if they have another really bad year, Kirby Hocutt and maybe the people above Kirby Hocutt have to really look at what's going on with that football team and what the direction for the program is, because they're all over the map.
I think they are one of the least interesting teams in college football that we're going to talk about on a regular basis. The Oregon transfer should make a difference at quarterback, but, you know, I mean, is he going to be that much better than Colombini or whatever the other dude that was always hurt, Bowman? I don't know. He's
gone now, I think.
Right. I'm saying, is he going to be better, like that much better than those guys? Because they were okay. You know, they're always going to have some receivers that are good or whatever. But, you know, a lot of the talk I see now is like believing the defense is going to be, you know, a strong suit. And I don't know. They don't know what they are. They used to know what they were. And I think they've now, you know, been in the midst of a major identity crisis, to your point. And I don't think that he knows what they are really either, unless there's some grand plan for this year.
Yeah, I don't know much about them. I don't. They had an identity. They still want to be that offensive team, but I don't know what to do. They're a wild card. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Number 4, Dave Aranda, year 2. How much did the new coaches make a difference in year 2? Do we see that, yes, the biggest jump you make is year 1 to year 2, especially your first year as a head coach, period, not at a program as a head coach period. What do those do? If you break it down very simply, if Baylor gets significantly better at one thing, this team could be really good because they have a bunch of guys who know how to win because they have won before. But it's the one thing that's the hardest to get good at in maybe all of college football. It's harder to get good offensive linemen and good defensive linemen, which they have good defensive linemen, but better than their offensive line, than it is to find a quarterback who can win games for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people just don't know what to make of Dave Aranda. I really don't think people know what to make of him, and I think it's because he's not Mr. Press Conference and he's not Mr. Soundbite, and he's just like, hey, I just want to just coach football. And, so he doesn't have the personality thing that people might glom onto. And he doesn't have the record right now either, but what gets lost a lot of times is he was a first-year head coach in the COVID year. Like, it wasn't like he was taking over Clemson or Bama. He was taking over a program in the midst of a coaching transition in the worst year of everyone's life as far as just day-to-day living. And so, I think you got to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, but I do think it leads to people not really knowing what to make of him, kind of like Matt Wells. And so this year is going to go a long way, one way or the other, for Dave Aranda in proving to people who he is as a head coach.
Yeah, I agree.
Number 3, Spencer Rattler's next step. He had an uneven start to the season, but once Craig and Smokey, he got going. He got really going. And you think about a whole offseason that's not affected or as affected by COVID. I know part of it probably was, but not as affected by COVID. He's got some NIL deals going. Well, Raising Cane's one of the big one for him, and what's going to go on with him. And he's likely going to be a top 5 pick when he leaves Oklahoma, whether that's after this year or after next year, which I would assume it's probably after this year.
He's not going to be one that Oklahoma brings to Big 12 Media Days.
No, but he's just a redshirt sophomore. So, we'll see what happens with Spencer Rattler, and I'm just curious to see where he takes the Sooners this year, which could be really, really high.
Well, some people think they'll be a playoff team because the defense is better, and they just assume the offense will be. My biggest concern with Spencer Rattler is just him simply not letting immaturity or personality flaws, interrupt what could be a really good football career. Because if you're like my sister who first saw Spencer Rattler on that Netflix show, then you think he's an egotistical, cocky little scumbag, or whatever. But, I mean, he's a hell of a football player. So if he can let the ego kind of go to the side and just get coached up and improve on a weekly basis, he can be a number 1 overall draft pick. But you just got to go put your head down and do the work and not get caught up in all the talk and the NIL and all that other stuff.
He is dripping with great confidence because he has great talent. We'll see if it all can continue together.
Yeah. Number 2, what is Steve Sarkisian's immediate impact at Texas? Very curious to see what this really is. And I would just caution Texas fans, like, it may not be that great right off the bat. I mean, it may not be. I mean, you might be kind of an average team, which is what you've been. But I would say if you believe that Steve Sarkisian is the guy, maybe just back up off him.
Anytime, and they change a lot, there's any kind of change, the expectations because of who they are multiplied just because of the fact they're bringing somebody in. And a lot of it has to do with the people that cover them.
But you wouldn't have to change if things were good.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, he might be the next Mac Brown. He might be the next Charlie Strong. I don't know. But the hype train's in full force, and we will see. But I know it's going to be a tough Big 12 this year.
Look, Tom Herman had a great recruiting run right when he got there, too. And he's not.
So he was
Charlie.
the next coming. He was one of their own.
That's what they're talking about Steve Sarkisian right now is he's got a great recruiting run. But, again, it didn't translate for anybody else.
When have they not?
Yeah, exactly.
It didn't translate for anybody else since Mac Brown. And number 1, can Iowa State really win the league? Craig believes they can. I thought now or never is a really tough way to put it, but like if not now, when? I mean, you're Iowa State and you're built to this point. What Matt Campbell has done for you, not to say that he couldn't, continually farm good talent. But if it's not now, you got to wonder, what do you have to do at Iowa State to
quarterbacks back, a lot of starters, tons of starters,
offensive lines all back. I mean, they're loaded
fantastic
up.
Tight end.
Maybe they're 2013 Baylor. Maybe they're about to be a part of this for the next several years. We'll find out. But this is the time.
They're going to recruit better and all that. But they're not going to have a Purdy and Kolar and all those guys all being seniors. As juniors and seniors all at the same time. That takes time to get to that, and they had it set up really well. So it's not now or never, but it's now or it might be a while.
Thanks to Seattle Mariners draft pick Andy Thomas, Baylor